Yes, sir. What's up, guys?
Yes. This DJ will kick the floor in three, two, 1.
On the troll. On the troll.
Hello and welcome to Mzansi. We're back again. It's that time of the night where we have to do what we do best. So we greet you. We see people are here waiting to see what is happening. Hello Tobega. Hello Explore TV. Hello Nolwazindi. Hello Zo Sibia and Gwanele Mbogazi. I greet you all and the others who are still to come. Here, remember, it's a court of public opinion, as you're saying. That's what we do. We give you the public opinion, the public view, which is not heard of most of the time. We speak in silent in our houses, but today, and as it has been for many months, we have been showing you that you can actually speak together in one voice, whatever that you are thinking. So when we do so, we do it with respect and with guidelines of this channel and YouTube. So please click that like button and share this video as much as you can, so that when we are in between or when we are far ahead in telling you what happened, you don't get disturbed by please like the video and whatnot. If you keep on liking, as we see, we have 151 people. We have 48 people who have liked. So like the video, subscribe if you need to subscribe. But here is what we do in Mzansi. We just tell it as it is, however we feel it should be told. Before we welcome you. Emily, do what you do best.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Mzansi Reality YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining us yet again on our session here of the Court of Public Opinion when it comes to the Senzo Meyiwa Trial. So Senzo Meyiwa's friend Tumelo Madlala took to the stand and got sworn in this morning as the upcoming witness. Advocate Baloyi started off by asking him the question, do you know the deceased? Madlala said, yes, I know him. We grew up together in Mlazi. He was my great friend. We went to the same school and played soccer together. He ended up playing for Orlando Pirates as a goalkeeper. He started staying in Baklu and then Malbatten. I used to visit him. He was also the captain of Bafana Bafana. And on the 25th of October, Senzo phoned me in the afternoon and he said I must come because we were going to a party of Roy Mahumudza in Sunning Hill. So Senzo had invited Tumelo to come to the Roy Mahumudza party with him.
Yeah.
He invited a lot of people, didn't he?
He did.
And isn't it ironic how they started playing soccer together. Senzo became successful and still kept him as a friend. Not many people do that.
No.
But Senzo did it. And
perhaps it's the right thing to do. Perhaps it's the right thing to do.
But can we say it's the right thing to do, seeing how now
I'm saying perhaps it's the right thing to do, to actually do away or discard whatever that you might deem not fit to be in the same table as you when you make it, because what we are seeing is exactly an example of what you call friends and family. So whatever that you don't need, do away with.
It's amazing how he always reached out and never forgot about him. You know? Then Baloyi asked, where were you? And Madlala said, in Mlazi. Madlala said, I told him it's not possible for me to come on that day as it was late. He was going to deposit some money for me to come. Before he called me back, I then received a message. It was digits for withdrawal of the money. Kumalo is the one who deposited the money. Did you know her? Baloyi asked, and Madlala said, as the person in a love relationship with Senzo. On the Sunday, he said he got to Durban station and there were no buses in the morning. So there was a lady there who was looking for people who were traveling to Joburg. And yes, he ended up traveling with that lady to Johannesburg. And Senzo said, I should get off at the car at Spruit View off ramp. And Baloyi asked, what time were you dropped off at Spruit View off ramp? Madlala said, I'm not sure, but about 5 p.m. Now here's the interesting part, you guys. Before De Novo, Tumelo insisted that he used the bus, got off at Park Station, and got a lift from Park Station, right? To Spruit View.
Yeah.
And now it has totally changed to, okay, he got a lift from all the way from Durban and he arrived with that lady.
Yeah.
And they left him at Spruit View off-ramp. Isn't it wonderful and amazing to watch people lie under oath? It's amazing.
Who lied now?
Allegedly.
Oh, okay.
The story is different from before De Novo to now. The details are different. And it's so amazing how comfortable they are. It's amazing. So then Madlala said, I'm not sure, at about 5 p.m. Baloyi asked, what was the state of your feet? And Madlala said, I was using crutches. I got hurt on my big toe. I didn't wait long there and I saw Senzo's vehicle, an X6. There were 4 in the car.
Yes.
It was Senzo, Kelly, Zandi, and Mthokozisi. He says he knew Zandi, but they had never met. He knew Mthokozisi through Senzo. And he would say, I would say he was like my friend. So he's referring to Mthokozisi Twala as his friend. Note that, please. From there, they went to a place that sells liquor, and then Senzo realized he didn't have money, and Zandi took out 400 rands. Mthokozisi and Zandi are the ones who went inside to buy, according to Tumelo. Isn't it amazing how Mthogo never mentioned this? In fact, he said that they were waiting outside the car while Zandi went inside the store to buy.
Yes.
Amazing. Then he says we went to another house which he didn't know at the time. It was a face brick house.
Espaza shop. What I liked, I'm not sure if I liked it, but what I noticed is that we are now not mentioning things as they are. Oh, like I moved from Emily's house to 123. I first start by describing Emily's house. It's a face brick or whatsoever. And Ulongwe is that mfana, that boy, that Chico boy.
Mfana ka Chico. Mfana ka Chico.
It's good to listen to and to note actually. I mean, it must have taken enough time actually for you to get used to how you address the court in a right way so that you make them understand you. You don't just say things. You must first call them names that don't exist and then create that perception. And then from there, you start naming it. It's a very good thing. I like it because, I mean, that means these people, as they are testifying, they are learning law. They are just learning how to navigate and say things in a right way.
Then Baloyi showed a picture of the house, which was Kelly Kumalo's home back in 2014. Madlala said that when they got to that house, there was a woman carrying a child, and they greeted, and she prepared food for them. And Baloyi asked, where did you sit? Madlala said in the sitting room, and he was shown a photo of where he was seated on the couch in the sitting room. He described that he was sitting opposite Kelly Kumalo's mother, and then Mthokozisi was sitting in the middle of the couch that he was sitting on, and then Senzo was sitting on the far end of the same couch. Then Madlala said after a meal was served, there was a young man who came. It's Chico's son, Lumfana ka Chico. There's something about how he is saying Chico's son, you know, in his tone.
Yeah.
in his tone nje alone, lo mfana kaChico.
I'm just going to.
In a aromats.
I'm just going to say this. You know what? Why we sit here together as a family and discuss, Emily?
Why?
Is because what you could have had in a certain way, even now, we are going to say things and then you're going to think that those things were said in that manner. I think you mentioned Mtogo saying he got a lift, and if I remember correctly, he said he got a lift from Park Station because the bus was gone.
Yes.
Now, what you were highlighting is that it is not clear where he got a lift. Like, yes, he got a lift to that lady. It's still the very same lady. That has not changed. But there was a bit of a granular level of explaining what happened. Park Station, the bus was gone and all those things.
Now the Park Station is out.
Yeah, now he got a lift. And that's what you highlighted.
Yes.
He got a lift.
Yes.
And if you listen just in passing, you'll say, yeah, he did say he got a lift. Yes, we're not disputing he got a lift. But he mentioned a lot of Park Station there. It was him standing around Park Station, and then this woman, he was afraid initially. He did mention that also today, but it is now not clear. And the brother is brought also now more. We're seeing more of his brother play.
Now, how did he know that was Chico's son? He said he heard from Senzo. And Baloyi asked, what's his surname? Madlala said Twala. So between Zandi and her mother, one of them made food for him, Longwe. After a while, I think Senzo and Kelly went out to the shop to buy something. And Baloyi asked, what time did Chico's son arrive? And Madlala said, I'm not sure, but we were done eating. We were drinking already. It was already late. Did you have an interaction with him? Baloyi asked.
Yes.
And Madlala said, I don't remember him greeting us. There was a point I left the sitting room, so I went to smoke, and Togozisi accompanied me. When you go out the yard and go left, there's a place where there is an electrical substation, or rather known as a danger box if you live in the Lokshin. Okay, we call it a danger box.
Yeah.
But Madlala said, after smoking, I urinated, and Togozisi and I went inside. So Baloyi asked, while smoking, were you drinking? Madlala said, no, we were not in possession of the liquor, it was inside. Then Madlala asked, as we were standing near the tab, okay, this is Madlala continuing, Senzo appeared from inside, standing by the door. As we were chatting, Kelly came from behind him and asked if we were going. Senzo said, we are just about to leave. Then Baloyi asked, after you went back in the house, where were you seated? And Madlala said, in the initial positions we occupied. While we were seated, a person appeared from the door, which has direct access to the dining room.
Yeah.
The person was having a firearm in his hand, and he had dreadlocks and was wearing a hat.
Let us just remind you guys, because we are going to have to remind you. Please like. Thank you, Lufate, for your gift. Thank you very much. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Lufate.
Please like the video. We have 468 people here. See 100 and something likes. Can we please press that like? We appreciate others who even come after with load shedding and just for like first, and then they go to sleep because they can watch because of load shedding. We're sorry for that, but we appreciate that when we see that there are people who do that. Please, just because you are here, you don't have load shedding, God bless you. Let us do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. He wanted phones and money with a wielded firearm with widened eyes. Then Baloyi asked which language was he using. Madlala said, even though my wedding may not be exact, he demanded phones and money.
Yes.
How it happened, Chico's son was seated there. He went and pushed him, the man carrying the firearm,
Yes.
and then exited the door. He was wearing a caramel jacket, this intruder. That was a quick move. Everyone then stood up in the house. Kelly fled and then ran into the bedroom. Everyone had stood up now. There was some tussling there, and that's when I noticed the second person who was wearing a hoodie.
Yes.
Baloyi asked, where did you notice the second person? And Madlala said, it appears he may have been after Kelly. Then Senzo had pinned one of the intruders against the wall. Zandi was hitting the person with my crutch. I'm not sure if her mother used it too. I could hear the thumping sound of the crutches. My crutches were next to the heater. At the time Senzo had pinned him against the wall, he grabbed the upper arm, the right hand, and pinned him against the wall. I don't want to say the second person. It is this person. And then Madlala pointed
What a strategic way of pointing.
Number 2, Bongani Ntanzi.
Because Baloyi couldn't do what he did last time of pointing, of making him point to these people. So he had to find a strategic way of pointing this person, which is Ntanzi.
I wonder why they won't let this go, this pointing situation, because it's quite an entanglement. It's quite a tricky one, and it doesn't help.
Yeah.
I know they think it helps, it doesn't. Then
Maybe it does.
Also, in my opinion, I feel like he pointed at him as if his life depended on it. Ati lo. And I'm like, why are you forcing? You know?
Yeah.
Then continuing on from his story, he said after giving him a blow, then a gunshot went off. Then Tumelo Madlala pointed out accused number 2 in court, Bongani Ntanzi, as one of the alleged intruders inside the house when the soccer star was killed. According to the reporters who were in the court, the expression on accused number 2, Bongani Ntanzi's face, has changed. He looked directly at Tumelo. Madlala said, I hit him on the face. I punched him in the face. That very tall one. After that, there was a gunshot which went off. As it went off, the sound of my gunshot almost deafened my ears. The sound of the gunshot almost deafened my ears. Then I ran into the bedroom. Now, my own opinion, my 2 cents. If he really hit him in the face, as he claims, why did he leave him and chase after him to go?
Maybe it didn't land.
Maybe it didn't land. Then Baloyi asked, where did the gun go off? Madlala said, in the kitchen. There was a ringing sound in the ears and I ran into the bedroom. Baloyi asked, which room did you run to? And he says he went to one of the rooms. He thinks it's the second one on the right. I took my phone and hid it under the blankets. Senzo's child was awake then because of the commotion. Senzo's child was Tingo. After a while, I could hear there weren't those people in the house anymore. I tried to open the door, it didn't open. I knocked and shouted for them to open for me. I don't know, but I think Mthokozisi opened the door for me. I think he used a knife or a spoon to open from the outside. When I go out, it appeared people were startled and Senzo was lying between the couch and the TV stand with his left-hand side of the body as if he was trying to get inside that space. Madlala was now emotional as he described where Meyiwa was lying. Then there was a 20-minute adjournment.
Okay.
So after the adjournment, it looked like Tumelo brought more drama, honey. Yeah, he brought it. Like the crying was not enough. He decided now to intimidate the accused as he was walking outside the court during the adjournment that was given, by the way, because he needed to recoup himself, get himself together. No, instead of getting himself together, he decided to throw in a performance, honey. Advocate Charles Mnisi stood up to say that there were some utterances made by Tumelo Madlala during the adjournment. Mnisi said that the accused were complaining that Madlala pointed at them and said, "Aziboshwe lezi Zinja. These dogs must be arrested. Now, Advocate Mnisi said it was best that they say it themselves because he will paraphrase. And the judge said, no, he must say it for them. And Advocate Mnisi rose to lay that complaint against Tumelo's behavior during the adjournment. And he said that the accused told him, as Tumelo stood up and went out of the courtroom, he looked at them, kept pointing at them, looking at them, and said, Aziboshwe izinja. Meaning, let the dogs be arrested. And the judge
And where was Baloyi when this was happening?
Somewhere. Somewhere around the court premises. Who knows? Those who were there can tell us where he was. Then the judge warned Madlala to keep the proceedings decent. Now he said, let us control ourselves. I know tempers may flare up, but let's control ourselves. We are all adults and we want to behave as such, okay? Madlala agreed and said, yes, I can hear.
So tomorrow, Emil, you are saying if I was to put these questions and just start, for starters, if I was to say, just before we start, Mr. Madlala, do you blame yourself for what happened to Senzo? And then after that answer, and then ask, and you'll probably do anything to actually get justice for Senzo. You know? I mean, and then the last question that I would ask before this is starting, what is your feeling towards this accused? Would you like me to give you time, maybe to even pass a message, my lord, if I could be allowed? Because seemingly you've got a lot of things to say.
Get off your chest.
Yeah, let's just get it off so that we start properly.
That's how you started the cross-examination.
Yes.
Mina, in my question is like, agasabi hini. Agasabi hinu tume.
No, look, it might or it might not.
Why did he do that?
It doesn't matter, but I would give him that platform so that he says whatever that he wants to say. He's got a lot of things to say, this guy. And if you deny him that chance, you might not get a lot of things, you know? Because if you keep on denying him the chance that he is looking for, which is not given,
honey.
because
stage.
Yeah,
give him that
give
stage,
him
honey.
that 2 minutes, 3 minutes,
performance.
5 minutes. In any case, you have to drag your
He
cross-examination.
can weep, he can cry, he can point, he can do it all, honey, just for 5 minutes.
Yeah. So that we take the
Get over
emotions
it.
out and we start focusing on this case.
I'm on that shooting in the foot, though.
No.
Okay.
He would say a lot of things that are probably not right and that would actually entangle him.
You know what else? I'm like, okay, Zandi threw in performances, honey. Zandi did the most. Okay, Zandi accused Kumalo and said, I'm not your wife. That Zandi did the most. And now we are seeing kind of an effect of what had transpired when Zandi took advantage like that on the stand. And I feel like Tumelo did the same thing or pulled the same stunt today. You know, when it comes to all these disrespectful tendencies, you know, especially if they watched Zandi get away with it, they're going to be trying their luck with this. And it seems like it only happens with the witnesses who were in the house.
Let's continue. I think it should be a long one, this one.
And someone even asked, it's been 9 years. How come is this guy so emotional?
You cannot control that. Can you?
He wasn't like this in the bit before De Novo. I mean, now he just did the most. He's worst now. So Baloyi pointed the photo to demonstrate where the deceased was lying in the sitting room. And Madlala says he was lying on his side. So, according to Mr. Interpreter, he was demonstrating the left-hand side of the body as though facing a little up as well. His legs were on the carpet. The torso was between the sofa and the TV. Madlala said, I saw a puncture on the left side of my chest. He was emotional and sniffing and stuff. And when I got to him, I was crying. There were other people inside the house. So Baloyi then asked how was he clad on the day, and Madlala said a white t-shirt, a pair of jeans, and a white Puma ankle type of techies. So what was the position of the wound, Baloyi asked. And Madlala said on the t-shirt there was a small hole, and the spot where he was laying there were dots of blood sprinkled on the floor. Now, this makes no sense at all. At least Mtogo and Zandi said there was no blood. I mean, to me, it doesn't make sense. The dots. That's my opinion. Then Baloyi said, how was the t-shirt? Madlala said there wasn't blood all over the t-shirt, but a stain at the hole. Madlala then said, thereafter we made attempts to pick him up and load him into the vehicle. Baloyi said, you said other people came into the house. Who were those people? And Madlala said, there was nobody I knew amongst those people who were in the house that I can point out. Even now, I can't say it was who or who. I don't know them. I would think neighbors were also there, but there's no one whose name I knew. What about Mtogo? The one who opened for you? What about Kelly? What about Kelly's mama?
I think there, I would jump in, I would leap into the defense of that. He did mention that there was Mtogo, him, and the neighbors that he would not be able to mention because he doesn't know them.
But he was asked again, who was there?
He did say Kelly. He mentioned everyone in the house. I remember I took note of that. But what he didn't want to comment more on, what it sounded like he didn't want to comment on the neighbors.
Then Madlala said, we tried to pick him up. He was heavy. I had my arms underneath his armpits. I carried him from behind. I don't remember who, because the car was parked on the other side as you enter the gate. So the car had to be reversed and placed on the side where it was written in white letters, Ispaza. It was reversed to the side of the kitchen as we were coming from the side of the kitchen.
Okay, here's a question for that. According to Tumelo's testimony, there was a car parked also on the driveway, almost on the driveway, which is a Polo, right? Which was parked inside. So this car, in a sense, you could say it was parked behind the room, because the gate you get in, it's either you turn to your right, where there's a parking area in front, or you just get in, and behind there's a space that can fit a car, depending on which yard you have. So I guess in this yard, the car could a bit fit in, so it was parked a bit deeper in that yard. Yes, in a driveway, but a bit deeper, which allowed the red Polo to park behind. So the question would be, when that happened, when the car was taken from the back of the house to almost in front, closer to the kitchen, where was the red Polo at that time? Because he said he saw a red Polo, and he even explained where it was parked. Where was the red Polo? And probably he's going to say he doesn't know, because he did say that he don't know what happened to that Polo.
It's also interesting how Mtogo never mentioned the movement of the car. He just said that they were taking rests in between. Never said anything about the car actually moving closer to the kitchen door. So Baloyi showed him more photos to a point where the vehicle was parked. And Madlala said we then pulled him and made efforts to put him in the back seat of the vehicle. When we got into the car, I was the one pulling him from the inside. His head was with me and we bent his legs. Baloyi asked, where were you seated? And Tumelo said, I was seated on the left side at the back seat. On my right, it was Mthokozisi. On the right, by the door, it was Zandi. Kelly was driving. Baloyi asked, how was the deceased carried to the car? Madlala said, we didn't go straight to the car. He was heavy. We didn't just pick him up and go straight to the car. What I remember, when we were in the house, we were holding him. It was myself, Mtogo, and I don't know the other young man who was there. And the others were also there. So we could not be able to pick him up and put him in the car because he was heavy. If I remember correctly, we could not pick him up and take him straight to the vehicle. I remember us stopping by the door before getting out of the door. The kitchen door.
For those who maybe are Zulus and whatnot, so when you are going to bury someone, you don't move with the box straight to the graveyard. You move and you rest. You move and you rest. Basically, a good narrative will be that as we move, we keep on talking to the person, the deceased, say that now we are moving from this area to that area. Now we are moving to this area, to that area. We are going to put you in your house of resting. Basically, it to me, it sort of sounded like that. And only in my own thinking and looking at Senzo's body, he was not that big. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm a bit, I've got that body. I don't think if Senzo really, as a person who was alive, would be that heavy.
No, I saw a picture of him and Kelly is quite tiny.
Eh.
After the performance on Thursday, the Robert Marawa show, I saw a picture just a couple of days ago, and I was like, he wasn't that tall.
And he wasn't that big.
Yeah.
He was just, say, moderate person.
And Kelly has a tiny stature.
Yes. So to rest from the house,
Heavy.
from the house, you have to rest from the sitting room. You have to rest until you reach the car that is closer to the kitchen door. Aye.
And another thing I found strange is he kept saying, I'm like, why? As if you're trying to convince yourself. I don't know. Maybe that's how he speaks in real life. But every time after speaking something that is so detailed, you'd hear, I don't know, guys, if you noticed.
Yeah, the other thing that I would like to say, out of the question that I asked of that Paulo Emil, I would sort of put it to him that, is it because maybe Longwe ran away with his car after the commotion? Because, I mean, in any case, we are not allowed to actually deal more with what happened. Was there 2 or 3 bullets? So build your story then around that. Because if we are talking about such, then we are saying there was no one inside. Because any argument that you make, it sort of says there was someone inside, according to what I heard from, this is my own hearing. I'm hearing that the judge feels like that once you talk about how many bullets inside and whatnot. Then deal with the issue of Longe's absence.
And his car, where did it go?
Where did it go? When did it leave?
Move?
And if it was nowhere to be found, was it because he came to take his car before the whole thing was cordoned and whatnot, and left with his car? Because indeed there's something that happened inside.
If y'all were carrying Senzo and he was
not there,
how did the car move so that y'all will be able to reverse it and put it where you felt was closer? I mean, how did that happen? Those are some of the questions. So he continued to say that even outside, we could not just enter because it was difficult putting him in the car. We could not enter as 2 people in the car. I entered first so we could pull him up by the side, dragging him underneath his armpits with my arms. Now I'm like, yo, if someone is hurt like that and y'all are moving him like this, isn't it risky? Like, isn't it dangerous? Isn't it? you know, it just felt too much for me, you know. And all of them kept saying Senzo was heavy. Senzo was heavy. It's just strange. Then Madlala said we drove to the hospital, and I remember Kelly was speeding. I think there was small humps in that area. It's not big humps. And Zandi, I remember Zandi warning her, saying, "You're going to make us roll over. Don't drive like that." In other words, telling her to be careful. So he says when they got to the private hospital or a clinic, the name of it is Buthelezi, they put him on the stretcher and he was taken inside. They sat outside on the benches. They then asked for someone older. Now he says he has no idea what time Kelly's mother arrived there. He says he just saw her there. As to how she arrived, he doesn't know. Then after a while, a young female doctor or nurse appeared, and she had a picture of the x-ray in her hand.
And the question there, I mean, when that happened, that x-ray happened, the watch was on. Is that what you are saying? Because I'm told by you that Kelly removed the watch eventually.
And I don't think when someone arrives like that, they would be taken to an x-ray. I think resuscitation would be the first priority. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm not in the medical field. But it's just strange that you will take someone to have
it was canvassed that it's not possible to do such. I remember we had a video where people were calling in before Dinovo. It was the same thing. We did canvass it that it is highly impossible that you are not helped, you are just taken to x-ray right away.
I mean, the first priority would be bringing him back to life, resuscitation, putting on the oxygen machine, stuff like that, not x-ray. And the fact that he even had his earrings on still and his watch that Kelly took off, and you are telling us there was an x-ray. Hi, Tumelo.
And I would like to see that x-ray if it's still there.
Would like to see it. And then he continued on to say that I thought to myself, as she's asking for an elder, it means that something bad has happened. There's bad news. Then Kelly's mother went, and she went into a room. There she started crying. That's when everyone started crying. After a while, I asked to go in there and see him. Senzo was covered. We went there, as many of us. There were also other people. I don't know whether they were neighbors or what. There was a lot of people because even soccer players started arriving in their cars. So after that, I asked to go see him alone and speak to him because they had made me sit in another place. Another nurse had poured water for me to drink with me sitting next to the sink. I think it was their kitchen. I went back to Senzo. The first thing I did was to unveil him. The first thing I remember telling him was, "Why did you call me to Joburg? Is this what you called me for? To see this thing?" As I was talking to him, Kelly showed up and she took off his watch on his left hand. And then the nurses asked us to go outside. I then kissed him on his forehead and covered him before we left. I no longer returned to where we were because I was crying at the time. Now, before De Novo, he said that Kelly was the one speaking to Senzo. I don't remember him saying that he also spoke.
This is not the first time, though, I'm hearing that. Why did you call me here, Senzo, and all that? I won't lie and say it's the first time.
It's footage from the news.
Yes.
He was still crying the following day on the 27th. I think it was the 27th when the news captured him in the morning. And he was saying, "Oh, why did you bring me here so that I could watch you or watch this happen to you?" There is a footage of that. I remember seeing it last year. In the archives somewhere. I don't know which news network it is, but it's there. Then it was 4. I think there was Mandisa and the soccer players who I think were from Roy Mahomutsa's party that were initially supposed to go to Sunning Hill. The party he was invited to. Okay, then there was a fight at the reception. I think it was Mandisa with her friends and Kelly. I also saw some pieces of hair thrown on the floor. Then after a while, we left the hospital and left, but I didn't get into the car that Kelly was using. I think there was a mama. I don't know her name because she kept talking to me and comforting me. I entered into her car. We went back. Now, Tumelo is not mentioning what Mthokozisi told him. I remember Mthokozisi testifying, saying that he actually was trying to convince Tumelo to go with him instead, since they were friends. But Tumelo is not mentioning this part. So according to him,
and it is very interesting. It is very interesting. Before De Novo, the argument that he made to say that why he actually went back to stay there, in particular, it was because they held his things like cell phones and whatnot. Now, what we are gathering is that the cell phone, up until hospital and coming back, upon coming back, that's when the cell phone would be confiscated as part of evidence. So had he left with Ntogo, he would be in a position of Ntogo of his cell phone not probably been taken, or if it was taken later, it would be later taken, but he didn't then want to do that. So that argument that he made before, I would like to understand now, if that question is posed again, why? Because you were only used to Mtogo and Senzo, as you say, that they are your friends. Let us ignore the fact that Mtogo said you guys are not friends, but you are now bringing it as this was one of your friends. So why didn't you live with your friend?
Why?
Why would you stay in a house where the only people that you came here for, they are all gone?
Why?
Now, I would like to hear the answer to that again, because I know the first one was mostly saying that because my things were taken.
Yes. So also before De Novo, Tumelo never mentioned anything about traveling in a different car. As far as we know, and according to Zandi's testimony, he was traveling with them in the BMW X6, wasn't he?
Yes.
So he continued to say, we went back to Kelly's home where the incident happened. Madlala said upon their return, they found police there. It was full and there were yellow tapes. He said statements were taken by the police and he was prayed for by a priest in one of the bedrooms. He was crying in the bedroom next to the one he ran into during the incident. He doesn't know where this priest was coming from. He noticed the hat that was worn by one of the intruders on the floor and his crutches, which he was told not to touch. They were in the kitchen. There was no other item that he observed in the kitchen. After a while, they had given statements, and he says, we were then escorted to Malbatten by the police. I remember a white BMW, a police person who was colored. And Baloyi said, did you have your cell phone with you? And Madlala said, a Samsung S3 in white that he was in possession of. Baloyi asked, when were you escorted to Malbatten? Did you still have that phone? And Tumelo said, I didn't. It was taken by the police and put inside a small plastic bag that was sealed.
That to me was sounding like leading in a sense. Because
Ntogo, he said he had
the phone, and then all of a sudden he remembers that the phone was taken after the follow-up question. It sounded more like leading him. And I even highlighted it, but I mean, this is like leading this person to say a certain thing. It sounded like a reminder, please remember that you left your phone
at the house,
yes.
At the Kumalo house.
Yes.
You never went with the phone to Malbatten. Well, he said that saliva swabs were also done.
Now, that is new. Because from others, no.
Nothing was done.
Yeah, nothing of that sort was done.
Baloyi then said, was it only your phone that the police took on the night? And Tumelo said he doesn't remember. He doesn't know because his was taken by the door on the side where the car was parked when they were transporting Senzo, that side that was written Spaza. It was taken when they came back from the hospital. They said they were checking a couple of things. It was in the early hours of the morning. They went to Malbatten. So before I forget to mention, when we returned from the hospital, Mtogo was not there. There was someone I heard saying, "Why were you still there?" It means there were other people he left with that he knew from the party that were at the hospital. He never went back to the place of the incident. He left with these people. So now Tumelo made it sound like Mtogo was supposed to return with them to the Spaza house. And I just wonder why. You know, he's making it sound like he was obligated to return with him.
While in fact he was actually obligated to live with a friend, a person he knows. More so after losing your friend, you would probably like to live with the other one who's a bit closer to you.
The one you are more comfortable and familiar with.
Yes.
So Madlala said that he could not remember clearly, but the following day, police arrived in Malbatten where Senzo had stayed with Kelly. It was an estate, so the security had to call. He spent the whole night at Malbatten. It was Kelly's mother, Kelly himself, and Zandi. And remember, guys, Zandi actually included Longwe in that whole thing. He said Longwe stayed the entire week with them, didn't she?
She sort of said it, but it was also a bit corrected.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well, other people arrived too. There were people who would arrive and
Because
leave.
listen to that. There is a presence of this guy eventually through him and the father. They come there. So it was a bit corrected. I heard it, yes, but it was a bit corrected.
Now he says Chico's son and Chico also arrived. And Baloy asked, when did you get to know Longwe's name? And Tumelo said, I knew it when he just arrived because I asked Senzo who he was when he just arrived and sat down.
Yes.
Okay, by now we can already see that Longwe never greeted Mthokozisi and Tumelo, right?
Yeah, that's. I think we can find a common ground there.
Madlala then said when police arrived, Kelly refused to open. She told the security that they should not enter. This part was a lot juicy the other time. I don't know what happened, but today's like dry. It's dry now, so I'm gonna pass. But then asked, it's fine. You may not disclose what she said. Oh, that's why it's dry.
It was cut quickly. It was
dry.
cut quickly.
The last time it was my highlight. It was so juicy. So when was this incident? Balui asked. Tumelo said, I'm not sure about the night it happened, but it was after the incident. I think it was the following day because a lot of things happened during that time. There was also a time we went to GP police station to do the ID parade. We went to the Fosloras police station to make statements. It happened on the following day because they came to fetch us traveling in their car. The police had said they are not sure of the time, but they fetched them. The police are actually the ones who fetched them. Maybe in the morning, more towards midday.
Midday. So what is interesting is what were they doing when they came in the evening, where Kelly refused them to get in?
Maybe they wanted the statement.
And how many times did these people come then in that Malbatten house? And how did Kelly got these people to go away? I mean, these are people of law.
That's what they need to probe on, because remember before, do you know
because remember there was a call.
She made a phone call.
Yes, so I would like to know how did Kelly, without talking to these people, made them go away? Did he call them? Did she call them, or someone called them to please back off a bit? How did he get into them so that they can leave?
And if Tumelo's phone was taken at the Spaza house, then why did Kelly still have her phone?
You know? Hey, such things.
Since the other one was taken.
And we are hearing that at some point she is the one who actually put pressure on these people to bring these gadgets back.
Phone.
And that means that means because the other one was taken by the so-called intruders.
Yes. How come she still had her phone?
How did he call the other person?
To call the person.
But
to tell the popo. Allegedly.
Whoa, let's just put it there because next thing there's going to be a plan. But yeah, because there were 2 phones, unless there were 3 phones.
Well, they wrote their statements after they took them to some room where they were going to draw. There was a white person who was conducting that. Then everyone explained what they had seen on the intruders. After they were done, they went back to Malbarton. He said he doesn't remember when it was where they went to JP to point the intruders at the ID parade. He said it was himself, Kelim, Togo, and Zandi.
So, guys, we have 860 people, 300 likes. Can we make it at least for 500?
Guys, like the video.
Now, I heard someone saying Emily is not sleeping enough. Maybe there's a bit of truth in that, Emily.
Perhaps.
So that you can
Please
prepare
like the
it.
video.
Please like the
Perhaps. You know I am not sleeping enough because I need to do this content, okay? I need to keep the records, honey. I need to update
If there
y'all.
was any of such thing that you are not sleeping now. But can we please like the video,
It
guys?
shows you how dedicated I am, honey. Okay? So you need to like that. Like the video. Please. Alright? So what about Longwe? Cause Tumelo doesn't mention Longwe much, eh? The ID parade. Longwe nalekai. Where was Longwe?
Yeah, those are questions that they can bring. Why I'm saying they should bring those questions? Because they need to prove that there was no one inside without pointing at the contradictions in the house that much. So these questions of playing with people who were there on the parade and what happened to Longwe's movements during that time, was Longwe there at the hospital? I think that is kind of going to that direction. I guess the judge is kind of saying go to that direction.
Well, it was about 6 of us. There was also another lady whom I don't know. She didn't go to identify. I think she was Umgani Kelly, meaning Kelly's friend, maybe Zandi's friend.
Here's the suggestion, Emil. We are told to pause this content until we get 500 likes.
Maybe we should, hey?
Yeah.
We do have that option, guys, by the way. We can always take a break. We are not bound to sit here. We will pause and come back after 5 minutes. Or not even after we've seen 500 likes. Maybe we should start doing that more.
Yeah, I think.
Okay?
Yeah.
Guys, please like the video, please. We're begging for likes. Like the video. Please like the video. Otherwise, we're going to have to put that strategy of pausing.
Yeah. So this guy got his crashes before he went home. Initially, what happened? Did the crashes follow him or something like that?
No, it's later on when Advocate Baloyi was clarifying with him. But what I heard is that he left with the crashes on Thursday when he went back to Durban. And then the police came at a later stage to come and fetch them again.
Yeah.
And they returned them again.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I heard.
Okay.
So he said they were taken on the night of the incident and then they were returned a couple of days later. And that's why he was able to go back to Durban with them crutches.
Okay.
Two of them.
Continue.
So it's funny that he remembers this lady who was Kelly's friend, but there's no mention of Longwe.
You know, I don't have a problem with him remembering that lady. But what I have a problem with is that Mtogo said that lady in particular, those 2 ladies, a friend of a friend, I think is a friend of a friend that went with Tumelo back, and then the friend, Ntabi. Mm-hmm. What happened when they were there? Is it still now the story of a mother? Maybe what Mtogo said needs to be read to this guy, maybe to jog his memory, to see if he's going to agree with what Mtogo said in terms of this lady not being there.
Well, he said they placed us in different rooms. When they called you to go look, there were about 10 to 11 people standing. There were many. they would explain that those people can't see you. If you see somebody that's a person you think you've seen at the incident, you can point them out or pick up the phone on the side. In the ID parade, he says he didn't recognize anyone. So Baloyi exhibited the ID parade form and the photos to Tumelo, which were taken on the 29th of October 2014. So there was an issue of cell phones as well. The police had taken. Kelly was pressurizing the police to hand her back her phone. He said, even myself, I couldn't leave and go back home without my phone.
Now,
Even
there is that
though
reason.
I can remember when the cell phones were brought back. Eventually, they were brought back a few days later. So Tumelo said there was a brother of his called Mandla who was using a car called a Crossfire. He knew him from Malbatten before the incident. He is the one who accompanied him and gave him 500 rands to return back home. It was on Thursday. He took him to the rank straight and he took a taxi or a quantum back to KZN. Madlala says he did not seem Togo after the incident. He did seem Togo after the incident. Madlala said that Mtogo arrived in Malbatten with Senzo Meyiwa. And he says, I think they arrived between Tuesday and Wednesday, but I cannot remember. Then Baloyi asked, why did they arrive? And Madlala said, I think they wanted Senzo's belongings and his ID, his clothes and his ID. Madlala says that he left Joburg on Thursday after the incident, and he had his crutches when he returned back to KZN.
Do you remember? And I see that someone is actually saying that the crutches sort of followed him initially.
Yes.
He left without them.
He left without them. And now, de novo, we have a different version. Oh my goodness. Okay. So he says that he went back home on Thursday and they returned them to him. He went to Durban with them, both of the crutches, and they came and fetched them again in Durban. When he returned, he went to his older brother, Sia, the last toll gate in Murren Hill in Westmeath. That's where he stayed. He called him and he told him not to continue with the taxi ride or the taxi trip. He must get off there because he has a car. Now he says he went to L section ground and the first stop that he made was at Senzo's memorial service. Now he says that when he got there, he realized that Senzo's parents were not there. Okay? He then gave a speech there.
What a grandstand.
To try and explain what happened to Senzo, but then he told the people that were there that it was best he talked to Senzo's family first. He says, when I got to Senzo's home, I found Senzo's mother on the mattress with candles next to her. I explained everything to her that had happened, and there were other people. I remember the first thing she asked me was how we were driving in her child's car while her child was no more. I told her I didn't have the powers on the matter. Even the police tried to suggest a different vehicle should be used, but Kelly told them the car belonged to the father of her child.
And isn't this is just me drawing in, isn't this consistent with the behavior that we are currently witnessing, which is a behavior that at the time it was unprovoked. You know, today we can argue that people are perhaps on her skin or saying things that are not sitting well with her. But at the time, we were all confused and we were all not focusing on things. I mean, as Zulus, as people who pride themselves as Zulus, we know that izinto zomufi ziyahlonishwa. Immediately you exit, your things must be on pause until such time. Then there is a need to use them. Every cleansing that needed to be done is done. But at the time, there was really no provocation that is coming from the public to say that that's why I was doing this. You know, they always justify these things through the public. But at this point in time,
People are
everything is still
grieving.
fresh. Everyone is still grieving. No one is attacking anyone except for the incident that happened in the hospital, and of which we understand. I mean, it was emotions, and maybe those friends wanted to do one on her, and we kind of understand. But all this refusing with an ID and then the car and all these things. I mean, honestly speaking, for someone who claimed that Senzo was nothing, why would she refuse with such things?
Why was she refusing with his stuff?
Why didn't you not observe protocol and respect izinto zikamufi?
And you know what? There also another thing that I don't think is discussed enough. And I think Alton Hart of ENCA, he brought it up, the fact that she took the earrings, she took the watch. She's driving around in a car that belongs to the deceased, and worse, the deceased was in that car. So it could form part of evidence that the police needed to use, and she just...
She just had it. I mean, she was even escorted probably through that X6.
So can we say she was willing to help out, like the police especially, make that
And there's
job
a
a little
theory
bit easier?
to throw a spin. There is even a theory of a person who was throwing that kit,
Yes.
who said
Steenkamp. I will never
in
forget
that
what
in
she
that
said.
Netflix. He said Kelly looked disinterested.
She was slouching like this in the chair, folding her arms. She didn't. And I'm like, why? Why? The father of your child.
As you claim.
I don't understand that, and I never will. Till her day in court, maybe she'll make us understand. And then Tumelo said, I cannot get into the details of everything. I relayed to them, but I explained what I could to them. Then I went home. And another interesting thing that Steenkamp also brought, Colonel Steenkamp said that the boy was there. He saw everything. And Kelly didn't want for them to speak to the little boy.
So there's a lot of questions that need to be answered from Kelly's point of view. But I still say, if I was a defense, I would not bring Kelly as my witness. I would not,
No.
and I would tell you
She's
why.
not gonna help you.
Whatever that Kelly says is sort of a collaboration of what these 5 accused would be. She would probably try to defend herself in a certain way, which will end up favoring Baloi's theory, perhaps, of an intruder and the mastermind. So eventually, after thinking about it, why would you leave one person that is the center stage of this whole thing? The talk is around her, the cell phone linkings. Everyone's talking about Kale.
Why is she not
Marbatin linking
arrested and
Kale.
charged?
Why would you leave that person, and even that person is not charged? So you are leaving that space so that these people call this person and they shoot themselves on the foot. So they must find a way of navigating around
don't
without
call
bringing Kale.
They've navigate without her because I don't think she's going to help your case at this point.
Nah.
And the following day, Senzo's cousin Sia came to me. He offered me a wristband to access Moses Mabhida Stadium for the funeral. Then after we went to the graveyard, even though we couldn't access the grave itself as it was crowded, we ended at Chesterville. Then Sia said he would drop me off at home as it was crowded. A lot of people that came to me to furnish statements that even come to my place of work. I think a month after the incident, it was in November that year, when the police arrived to fetch my crutches. They made me sign, and even when they brought them back, I also signed. I can't remember the dates, but I should still have those documents. They didn't explain to me why they were taking those crutches. I made a lot of statements. I cannot remember all of them. People would just come to get the statements. Some would arrive with handcuffs. Did they arrest you? Just a question, in my opinion. He says they didn't explain to him why they took the crutches. They were not taken for a long time. Some of them took him to a point, I think he's talking about the beach here. A point. It's a sea point or something like that.
I think so.
Some came to his place of work. In the end, a light-skinned female officer who had a bald head.
Now, notice
She was female.
how we first describe a person before we bring the person who they are, the name. I mean, a normal person, a lay person, would call the name of that person, more so if you know that person by the name. You would say Joyce Buthelezi, not light, bald, what.
Even the way he said his bald head in Zulu, I just felt so offended. I was like,
Imbungulu.
Imbungulu. I'm like, why are you saying it like that? It sounds so shady. It sounds so shady. Now he said, I took her as a mother.
Now here we go.
Now I have a question, Mr. Anonymous. Why is Tumelo only speaking about this specific encounter with Buthelezi of 2019?
Let us unfold, and then we will explain. Because if you explain before you...
Also, Buthelezi arrived, and I think it was in 2019. I would tell her everything that was happening. Even when Senzo's father came and insulted the mother of my child, I related that to Buthelezi. I would tell her everything. Even when Senzo's father came and saw at my child's mother, I told her, this Buthelezi lady. She suggested that I should be under a witness protection program. And eventually I was put under the witness protection program. He said that he didn't want to be a part of this witness protection program because he was staying alone at his home. But she even asked him to lie and say that he was in Cape Town when he was in Richards Bay. So he says there was a white person who used to transport him from where he was to the Pavilion Hotel where he would be meeting with Joyce Buthelezi. She promised him so many things. And then he says, I told her that I had a child and I stayed there. What would happen to my child? And she told him that they would find a school for the child. He said he stayed a little while and realized that what she promised him was not materializing.
Okay. Just right there. So, my question would be, do you agree with everything that happened until Joyce Buthelezi decided to not honor up some of the things that he promised you? Do you agree to statements that you wrote? That's after answering that question. So that means you do agree with statements that you wrote. Everything that you wrote prior to that promise. And then up until you went to that witness house protection. And then Joyce did not honor up to your kid going to school and all that. And then you started now rebelling and going back home. And when you go back home, then that's when your story changed. Is it true, Mr. Madlala, that that's what you did? You changed your story to suit the narrative that was going to protect you because you were outside of witness protection. But whatever that you said on your initial statement before your protection, you were promised that protection, it must be taken as the truth. The only thing that did not happen during that time is that you did not get the material that you wanted. You wanted Joyce Buthelezi to take your kids or your kid to school. You wanted that proper life, right? Is that what you wanted?
That's
the same as you wanted to benefit from Netflix, right?
So he says, I stayed for about 3 weeks under the witness protection program, and I exited that program. The same white person came to me to make me sign that if I get out of the witness protection and anything happens to me, then they have nothing to do with that. I was not even allowed to call other people. I was only allowed to call my mother. I was handed a SIM card to use during that time, and I could only call my mother. And then there was a long adjournment. After the adjournment, Balois asked, you said the police who put you in witness protection made a lot of promises. What was the purpose of those? And Tumelo said, I don't know. Perhaps there could have been an agenda. Madlala said Colonel Joyce Buthelezi, the lead investigator in the controversial second docket, seemed to have an agenda. He says he took her as a mother. Baloyi then asked, what made you change your perception of her? And Madlala said, all the things I would divulge to her in confidence as a mother, whereas she had her own agenda. She would take what I said as if she was compassionate towards me, but she wanted more from me. What I was saying, she did not trust me. And what I was saying, everything I would tell her, taking her as a mother, I didn't know that she was coming up with her own way.
So all those stories, they made you sign statements, right? Mm-hmm. That love that this woman was showing you when no one was showing you love. You signed statements. So those statements, you signed them willing. You were not coerced to sign these statements. You signed them, you wrote them, and you read them. And then after that, you put your signature. And then after that, you were given that protection. And then you realize that, no, things are not happening as I want them. Then you reversed. The same way you are also blaming the guy that wrote the book, right? It's not you. These people are hearing you wrong. And what I would like to know about the guy that wrote the books, while I still remember, is that were you together with Ntogo when you were narrating to this guy, Mr. Soweto, the story? Or you were in a separate, it was you, then after that it was Ntogo on a different occasions. And if that is the case, why is your story sort of saying the same thing that Ntogo is saying?
But I asked, what made you think she had an agenda? And Madlala said, first of all, taking me to this witness protection program that made me realize there was an agenda she was pursuing. Even her taking me to Senzo's grave made me realize there was an agenda. Baloyi asked, when did she take you there? And Madlala said, I think it was in 2019 when she took me there. Maybe she thought there was something different I would say. Different to what I had been saying all along. She would never arrive alone. She would always be accompanied by 1 or 2 police officers. This is after Baloyi asked her if she was ever at any point in time alone.
Now, do you see why there's a slim chance of 375 making it? Because what I'm gathering is that 375 people are singing a different tune. Yes. I have not seen it. But from what I'm hearing to this one that we are facing right now, it's like while we do whatever we do with what is happening currently, in while we're under process, let us help 375 not to make it in court. So basically,
and by squashing
we are squashing the main person of that 375
who's leading that docket.
So that means that whatever that is said on that 375, those statements, if all of them were to get them, you guys are singing a different tune. And that's the main reason why 375 should make it.
Madlala then said, even during the statements, you could see that she wanted me to change these statements and how I made them. For example, the fact that there was no intruder in the house. That point, I did not change it. It surprises me in that house. I didn't have any friend other than Senzo and Togo, and there's no way I would want to protect anyone. What would I gain? Money. She wanted me to say no one had entered the house. I don't see a need for me to lie about that. Why would I say there was no one who entered the house when there were people who entered the house?
So the emphasis on me not changing the statements. I've never changed the statements. I denounce whatever that is saying I changed the statement. If there is a statement that could be saying that is incriminating to me, I denounce it before it even starts. I never changed the statement.
Now he was getting all defensive. I was like, yeah, bring the drama when I'm Tumelo Madlala. Bring the drama. Also, it was also the first time I had gone to that house. There's a lot she did, and I took her as a mother, telling her everything. But I never changed my statement. Then the judge asked, the important part is that he says he never changed anything. Then Tumelo said, I have never changed my statement, and I never will. I will even die. Never. I don't see the need to lie in court. I need to emphasize, people entered the house, and I will never change that statement. Viva. Baloyi then said, on the day of the incident, you mentioned alcohol was bought. Did you drink? Madlala said yes. Everyone apart from Kelly's mother and the children all drank. Senzo and I drank Heineken. I think I had 3. He drinks whenever he likes, and he is a drinker, but he says he drinks whenever he feels like it. Madlala then said he was still sober after consuming 3 cans of Heineken, with the third one still having
Do you know
beer in
that
it.
3 is the lucky number since they testify?
Yes.
All of them.
All of them had
It's 3 cans,
below 3,
and
just
then
below 3.
that can, the third one is not done.
Yes, all of them drank at the same pace, honey. Those who were drinking this one that was this big, and this one that was this big,
The Quranas and whatnot, they all
drank.
drank under 3,
Yes.
in a sense.
Yeah, boy.
And they couldn't be drunk because of that.
No. Then Baloyi then said, what was the lighting like on the day? Tumelo said it was lit. The TV
Now it was
on.
lit. Now it was lit. We dwell in this thing before, it was not clear. Maybe there was a bit of light because of television. Yes, now the TV is still back, but
Everything
it was
is
now,
light.
the answer is clear now. There was light because 2 have said there was light.
And how could he have seen the second intruder if there was no light?
Do you know? He's even
Yeah.
contradicting himself now. He's the one who was saying it was not clear. There could have been a light, but TV light is not enough for you to see. Now all of a sudden, there is clear answer. There was a light.
Now it's clear. We don't even have to dwell on it. So Baloyi asked you, describe the shot you heard. Did you hear any other shot? And Tumelo said, I cannot say how many gunshot sounds. The one that deafened my ears is the one I heard. So basically what he's saying, he only heard one shot or what?
And then, kwasekuvaleka indlebe, kwavele kwavuka khona.
It's funny how he was in that room with his phone and he never called the police. Isn't that funny?
Instead, he hit the phone while he was hitting also because the door was locked, and then he hit the phone. He just
Not
put
once
it
did
there.
he think
Yeah.
10-111. Not
They
even
must
once.
probe that also, that no one in that house called the police.
He said he did not see where the others fled to because he ran into the bedroom. Baloyi asked, you pointed to accused number 2 as the second suspect in the house. You said he had a hoodie. Then Madlala said, even though I may not have had a close reaction with him, but the person you have seen, you'll never be confused by them. The person you've seen before, you'll never be confused by them.
And yet we have
Many
people.
people I've seen before.
And then here's
And I-
Tobeka saying, guys, clearly Tumelo was drunk that day. But he's saying you can never forget a person that you have seen.
Even in that drunk state, allegedly.
As you are
That
alleging.
he's denying.
You are putting him in the state of not being sober.
He is saying
but
he
he
was
still says that I can define even a jacket. The jacket is what? What is that
Beige.
jacket? It look mustard color. I think
So
he
he
explained.
said the hoodie is mustard color.
No, the jacket.
No, he talked about the beige jacket of the first intruder. The
Yeah,
one
but
with
he
the
did mention a
dreadlocks.
bit mustard, something along those lines.
Okay.
So this person explains everything vividly.
He said, I saw him. He was tall than the one with the dreadlocks. Baloyi asked, is there anything outstanding that you noticed about him? And Tumelo said, what I could say is the hoodie jacket because he was wearing his hoodie on his head. He was tall compared to the one with dreadlocks. Now, check this out. He was wearing his hoodie on his head, right? Okay. What else? Baloyi asked. He had a beard and a cut with 4 corner that was trimmed on that day.
Very convenient.
Trimmed on the mouth and chin.
Very convenient.
Where's the 4 corner now coming at?
You know,
What is he
everything now
talking about?
is explained. And it will be interesting to see what was Tumelo's definition when they were drawing these sketches, because
Yes, what
I
was
would
his
like to know
contribution?
what you contributed on. Did you
On the
contribute on
sketch.
those beards and whatnot? And all these things that now you are mentioning here.
Yes.
And conveniently, you have only seen these people when you came to testify. Wow.
Wow. 9 years later.
Yeah, caramel. Yes. Someone is saying, said caramel.
Caramel.
Yes.
Baloy then said, for how long were you and Mtogo outside when you smoked? And Madlala said, not long, maybe about 20 minutes. Baloy then said, how long after you re-entered the house did the intruders enter? And Madlala said, not long, from around 8:30 to something to 9, just before 9:30. Baloy asked, did you see how Longwe arrived at the house? Madlala said, I don't know, because we never got time to talk, myself and him. Baloy then asked, but there were other cars parked when you went to smoke. And Madlala said a red Polo parked behind Senzo's car inside the premises.
Now you see why the moving of a red Polo should have occurred for the other one, to if it was still there. But if it was not there, then obviously the movement would have been easy.
Yes. Baloy asked, when you took the deceased to the hospital, was there a red Polo? Where was the red Polo? Then Madlala said, I don't remember. Baloy asked, what was the state of the deceased when you said his head was on you? Madlala said, I don't know what to say. Everyone in the car was talking to him, encouraging him to stay awake. Was he awake or not? Was he cold like Zandi was saying?
But he was cold in the car.
More detail. Baloy then asked, was there any discussion between yourselves when you went to Malbatten? And Madlala said there was a stage when there was a reflection of the incident, because I recall Longwe and Ubaba Galumfana lo arrived. He means Longwe. They explained to him that Tumelo was Senzo's friend. The other thing that Chico wanted to establish was that he wanted to know from Kelly if she wanted to go on a holiday. I remember the child was a problem for her to accept that offer because the baby was still young. Now, Chico, for me, in my opinion, it's kind of strange to offer a holiday in the middle of a tragedy, in the middle of a disaster, in the middle of a travesty. Okay, a holiday. No. Madlala then said he knows Soweto Madlanzi through Senzo Meyiwa. Madlanzi came with Senzo to his home and told him that he was going to author a book on Senzo. Now, Tumelo says, I told him of how we grew up. The time Soweto arrived coincided with that of Buthelezi. It was in 2019 when they came to me. Then I saw things in the newspaper that I didn't divulge to Soweto Madlanzi. When we, Mtogo and I, saw this, that things that he had written are not things we told him. Lo Soweto lo wakhona.
Now, this is where you see that whatever that is said on 375, it does mimic the story. So when they were relaxed, maybe they started talking more.
And Soweto Madlands are catching strays from Tumelo and Mtogo. And I'm wondering why. They're catching.
They didn't say whatever that they said they said. It was. So there are two people that these people blame. They blame Soweto. They also blame Joyce. So what is common about these people? They are singing a different tune. Yes. No intruder in the house. No intruder.
Then Baloy asked Madlala about the Netflix documentary. Do you know about it? And Madlala said yes. But before we go there, this is how pressed he still is
about Joyce. That's why I say they must give them time to vent.
Before we go there, I don't know whether that Soweto was writing the book for money or what. People bought that book. He wrote things that were not there. The entire book. There are things that were written in that book that I never said. When he arrived at home, I told him of how I grew up with Senzo up until the accident that happened in Foslo. And I'm like, Tumelo, why are you calling the incident an accident? So I got confused when I was now said that there was no intruders. So whoever has that book has something that does not exist, because everything that was written there is non-existent. About the Netflix documentary, he said that he did participate in the documentary. I was motivated by Sfiso and Sia. They came to me. They even wanted photos from my camera which depicted Senzo and myself. I ended up doing the documentary, and there was an agreement that was drawn regarding the photos. Initially, I had refused, but they kept persuading me, and eventually I agreed. Okay, listen to him trying to sound like Mtogo refusing to be a part of the documentary, allegedly. I ended up doing the documentary with these people from 1010 Films. We even had an agreement. I gave them the photos, okay?
Modest way of that. I got paid. You got paid?
And then Baloyi asked, in the role that you played in the documentary, is it different to the evidence you gave in court today? And Madlala said there's no difference because they made me do the very same thing that I did when I went to Senzo. And I'm like, I still have question marks on that. What is he talking about?
It would be very interesting if, maybe for argument's sake, Soweto was recording these people, which I probably think he was, because, I mean, you can't just capture such things at a fast pace. You probably would record them and go and sit down and narrate the story.
To write.
If we can get those records,
I hope he has them
where they are
very
denouncing,
space.
and then we listen what they said. Listen
No,
to
they
what
need
they
to sue
said.
him. That lawsuit needs to happen. I want them to sue him so that, you know, the records can be pulled if they exist.
Yeah,
Then Baloyi
yeah.
said, have you ever attended an ID parade where the accused before this court were? And Madlala said no. Baloyi asked, when was the first time you saw the accused? And Tumelo said the day he arrived in court, even though he doesn't remember the date, but it was the very first witness. He was the very first witness from the house to testify in court. Now he's talking about the case before De Novo. So Baloyi asked, you pointed out accused number 2. What prompted you to do so? And Madlala said, as I said, Senzo pinned him against the wall at the time. That is when I punched him. Further, if you once saw a person and saw him again, it would be difficult not to recognize that person.
So he never explained how, actually. He kept on going around and round and round and round and round.
The proximity that we had with accused number 2, he wouldn't or cannot say he didn't see me. Yeah, is there anything specific that enabled you to recognize him? Baloyi asked. I would not explain much, but I can see that it's him. Because I did the first ID parade and I saw no one. Why would I now mistaken him? Why didn't I go to the ID parade and point out the wrong person? I saw him clearly.
So I don't know what I would say is a point or sort of a mark that I use to actually identify this. But because I never pointed at anyone, therefore, the one that I'm pointing should be taken as the correct.
As the correct, honey. Even he knows it. He stunned me here. He knows it. He knows it very well. And the judge asked, what does he know? Tumelo said, I'm saying that because we were close. It can't be that he did not see me. Baloyi then asked, the woman you said you considered as the mother, Buthelezi, do you know if there was a second docket?
Baloyi likes bringing Buthelezi. You know, like, he's doing his work, man. He's doing his work. I know. He's doing one on Buthelezi. You know, like, make sure that Buthelezi, whatever statement, I don't know. Like, I don't know, allegedly.
Madlala then said, the issue of that person, she has time to play that mama. Yes, I know about it. If that docket can be used so, I cannot wait for her to explain how she came about the contents of that docket. Court was adjourned and it will begin. Cross-examination of Tumelo by Ramasipil will begin tomorrow.
Right. So it's time for you two guys to like so that we take the calls. Please like the video. We are on 500, 909. We are waiting for low expects from our audience. Subscribe.
The court of public opinion.
Subscribe. Like the video.
Share
the
if
video.
You can. Share the video.
We are here. We're waiting for calls. We're waiting for calls.
Now, is it ethical for Advocate Baloi to hang Joyce Buthelezi to dry like this?
You cannot say that. You cannot say he hanged, but allegedly hanged, maybe. It looks like Buthelezi is being hanged to dry alone. I mean, that explained the issue of a junior and whatnot.
Recommendation.
Some junior recommendation.
She's part of the state. You don't expect for this to be happening, especially if she was doing her job. And the question I wanted to ask, and you cut me off prior, 2019, this is the only encounter that Tumelo and Togo of Joyce Buthelezi that they have that was so horrible. And we did read at some point that Joyce Buthelezi was on this case from the beginning, right?
Yeah.
So how was she?
Let's take this call, Emil. Zanzi, hello.
Hello, Ninjan Baba.
Sikhona Baba njani?
Siyaphila. The case today was very interesting. But anything ngiyithandazela engifisa ukuthi uTumelo baqhubeka balande bambuza ngolonge because itune yakhe ikhuluma okuningi nakukhulunywa ngolonge. Because the last day was a documentary lapho bathi ulonge nguye odule usenzo. So I didn't believe that. But right now, the way uTumela behavior ngakhona iyaveza ikhuluma okuningi lo line leyo. More than anything izinto azishilo, but leyo I think ibaluleke kakhulu ukuthi ngathi bangahlala kiyo. Ahlala abehave they behave ngakhona. Because that thing it shows a lot.
Ngiyabonga. Thank you. Short and sweet. If you all can follow to that line of being short and sweet. Indeed, I noticed that. And it goes with that story that we were told by Sfiso when they are drunk and they're excited.
Tumelo specifically is drunk allegedly.
Stuff like that. That's what the documentary was saying. It's not us. Let me answer this. Someone was calling. I missed that person. Let me answer this. Okay. Just a quick question. Why does the defense, when they cross-examine, not mention where the respective clients were on that day, the time Senzo was shot? Does the law not quite work like that? Please educate us. I mean, the defense is still waiting for their chance. They cannot show all their cards on what.
I don't think it would be
you
wise.
can see how this court is playing. So you wait for a chance, but you don't show everything that you have. Just show a bit and argue around whatever that is brought by the states, but you're still going to bring your stuff. So if you're just going to everything out, they're going to counter you until the end, and then you'll be done. By the time you finish, you'll be agreeing with them to say, yeah, I'll get your theory.
Maybe. And why Bongani? Accused number 2 is the only one who was eligible for bail, if one would argue, who doesn't have any previous convictions. And the way Tumelo is just persisting on pointing at him and just aggravating him and just... It makes me wonder, will he do that with accused number 5?
Zanzi, hello.
Hello. Thomas.
How are you, sir?
I'm fine, truly fine. So far, there are many contradictions. If you can just analyze from the first thing, if my memory serves me correct, now the chair he pushed me away from sharing a court. I was just doing talk because at the time, Kumshara called. the first time ngibalisa pha uthe ngokubaleka ushiye ugqithe ku-suspect lengeqini. And this when he said before we went over. Now apparently he was sizing up his apparently. So I think I will check though tomorrow, but I like the updates you guys are doing every day. I'm always up.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, and the issue of the second intruder and who Senzo was actually fighting, he sort of fought the first one a bit and then went to the second one. The second one is the one who actually was busy with Senzo with the gun, right?
Yes.
The second one, not the first one.
Now he's saying that Senzo was pinning the second one on the door.
Because he fought the first one a bit and then he left that one.
How did that happen?
I don't know. Like, it's confusing there.
Yeah, but not there. He needs to explain and elaborate because it doesn't make sense.
How did this... So Senzo sort of touched two people. Ntanzi, hello.
Yes, njani?
Siyaphila njani mfethu? Yeah.
Ngiyalandela i-case le. Angazi noma ngibona kabi kodwa ngibona ngathi i-judge lo yena nangibuka sekakusethi i-decision nangibuka mina ngazi noma ngibuka kabi. Yeah, indlela njenga ngayo akekho interested nangibuka akekho nje interested. Especially ukuthi nakukhulunywa ngama-statements lezi kwenye ngisangaze athi uyawazi mos amaphoyisa kanjani. Ya ukusho ukuthi amaphoyisa lawa ngenzeka ebhalele izinto zawo kuma-statements ezabo Tumelo, but then okusho ukuthi nawabhale kahle i-statement okusho ukuthi babambe abantu aba-right. If bakhona ukubhala i-statement ezi-wrong futhi nabantu ababanjiwe ba-wrong nangukuthi phela i-statement zabo Tumelo because nawubuka zonke i-statement bonke bathi hayi like abazazi lezi izinto abayibhalile kubuka ngathi zonke zi-wrong bonke. Nawubuka futhi bonke baphuze amabhiya nga-3 bonke nje kwabo bonke nje kubukeka ngathi akhambi ayimnanganda but nje ujaji lo nangimbuka ucedile nangimbuka
Emily
ukuthi umdlalo nangibuka mina umdlalo leseshi kumkwenza isikhathi ngazi kodwa ngapha uTumelo uba nomthoko bambuzile ukuthi ipholele likuphi uthi yena nakajombela ngale ipholele libheli khona ngapha bese simnedisappear yakufa ngazi why ungahlala ukubuza disappear leyaku lelo baselina umbuzo lo ukuthi nabahambisa uSenzo emotweni bebahamba baphumula yini ngicabanga ukuthi soyela la ekutheni bakhuluma izinto ezihlukile ukuthi umunye usenze umthole kuphi nomunye usenze umthole kuphi because manje abanye bathi umthole between the sofas umakhelwane umfana kangathi umthole cishe ngasekitchen nophuma ngane ngasekitchen manje mina ngibona ukuthi futhi balo ufuna ukuthi hayi futhi umfana kangathi umthole ngasekitchen ngoba bekaloku babhizi baphumula futhi nabaphumula bonke bafike kuyo basithele kwathola umfana ngathi umthole alela yiwa senze pha so nangukuthi bayaphumula nangukuthi baphumula bese bayasuka kusenza bonke abanyamalala baphinde babuyele bamphakamise bambeke kwenye position baphinde basuke abanyamalala kodwa nje kunjalo ngiyabona.
Thank you very much. Emily, there is two people here who are saying give Emily a chance to put her story.
Oh, what story? I don't mean I'm a speculator when it comes to this thing. What do you guys want me to speculate on? What point of thought did I leave hanging? Please help me out. Please check on the comments, Mr.
I'll check for you. It's Moyo. So the story that was said by the caller basically is trying to say that it sort of they are trying to corroborate the story of the Ngashe guy who said he found Senzo in the kitchen. So they could be saying that that's the reason why Senzo was at the kitchen. My lord, basically, for those who do not understand the language. But
So
continue,
that they were
Amen.
resting,
Just
they
yeah.
were lifting him and taking a break, and lifting him and taking a break. That's how maybe the Ngatches found him
Now I'm confused. To stop cutting each other. How now?
in the kitchen. No, let's just not mind the comment section too much. Let us focus. You're losing focus now. Like the lifting. That was what the caller was saying.
Okay.
No.
Zanzi, hello. You see?
There's a call coming.
How are you, sir?
Hi.
I'm good. You?
Good.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
How are you, Sis Emily?
I'm good. And yourself?
I'm good.
Yes, shoot. Tell us what you think about this mess.
Let me shoot. Yeah, actually, this case, man, so painful. In a manner where you can see the state doesn't have case. But they are trying to prove, I don't know what they are trying to prove, actually. I was there today, and I saw the presence of Senzo. Very sad. Very, very sad. You could see that they are very, very sad. Yeah, but I don't know what it's trying to prove actually, because why there are a lot of witnesses were there, especially the people who were inside the house. Why didn't they call, what do you call that lady? She cleaned the house.
Which lady?
Piri.
Oh, my
Yeah,
God.
my peer. Yeah, that person is supposed to come.
Yes.
And the mother of kids. Instead of this one already lied, we know. I don't know, Bolo, what he's trying to prove. maybe he was not coached well at that previous judge, Mr. Alfred. But according to me, they already decided on this people. Yeah, you know, money is talking in South Africa. If you have money, you can't go free.
Okay.
If you have money, you can't go. There's only one person who's been protected here. We only know. Longway and Kelly, they know who killed. But the weapon, the problem is the weapon. That is why there's a person that is being protected here. You know, when you look at this case, you could see that they already decided about this person. And still doesn't have case. But because if you have money, you can do everything.
Yeah.
You can't go prison. In South Africa, you've got money. I'm telling you. I was there, Mr. Anonymous. I'm working under law firm. We're with some attorney there. It's well known there. Explain how this thing is working. Because if you have connections, you can just do anything. Yes, a playground. The High Court is a playground. So if you have money, you can do everything. And the other thing about this defense, I don't know, maybe they are so weak. I think maybe they've tried to do more research in criminal procedures. In terms of 17, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's 173. Therefore, was right. He was supposed to apply that before the main trial started, because state doesn't have case. But all the evidence just hearsay. There's nothing that the state's proving. Even that saying whatsoever in Mavata. Man, come on. So, but because if you have money, you can just hide behind and all those things. In South Africa, everything is freely. Where's Bushiri now? You see, money talk. Where's Bushiri? Typical example. Where's Bushiri? Money talk. So, Mr. Animals, thanks very much, and Sis Emily, you guys are doing a greater job. This platform is the only platform that is gonna free those accused persons. We are watching closely. Yeah, thank you. Let me give other people. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know if we have that much power to free them, child. That's too much power. I didn't think that we have it.
Right. So there is that's a good compliment.
Thank you. Hey, buddy.
Mzansi, hello. I'm giving you a minute. Mzansi, hello. Mzansi, hello. Just a minute.
Oh, yeah. Sanbona.
Yebo.
Oh, njalo tengaziwa nawe Emily.
Hi.
Aziyaphila mfethu.
Anonymous.
Yes.
No, but which umthobi la United States.
Yeah, mfethu.
Yabonga ukuthi nifika sikhona. Sa wenganza wethu ngizakhuluma ngolwakithi ngifikele jilayo. Nginombuzo embili. Le mbuzo yami ayikho angazi ngayibeka kanjani ukuthi ngiyichaze le ndlela lembuzo, but kodwa ngizothi nje umbuzo wami wokuqala uthi kungani why they didn't subpoena the service providers of all of those people who were there in the house to get the voice calls, so that we can determine who called who and said what, because the service providers, I'm definitely sure they do have recording.
Good question.
That's my first question.
Yeah.
I mean, here in America, we do see these cases like these ones. I mean, they do televise some of them. Most of them, I mean, are live. Okay, they do provide this information. At this time, you called Mr. So-and-so or Miss So-and-so. This is what you said. Why? Because this is a big case that has caught in attention all over the world. Why? Because of this, they can do that. I'm definitely sure. Who called as soon as this incident happened? If Kelly called who? If Ntogo called who? If the other guy, Twala guy, called who? What party to those people? Not because it's something that they can get it. And these cell phone companies are the big companies. Vodacom is a big company. If one is owning Vodacom, MTN is a big company. They do have that. And two, emzazi sinenyanga bafethu ezokuthi zaziwenza izinto asekho nayo tenozwelo ukuthi let me do something just to help poor family.
Yeah.
Ayikho nayo hey, you know what, hey man, it's been too much, this family, it's been suffered for so long. Just wanting to know the truth. Usazonke lezi nyanga ezithi zizinyanga mfowethu as the guys are everywhere. Ayikho nje enozwelo ke uma goodbye uma kuwukuthi bazinyanga impela not inyanga mpumbulo. Why don't they just one of them akudinga ukuthi azaphumela obala just to do something, unless ibhedlela ngabantu.
Yeah.
There's two questions that I'm finding. This thing, it's frustrating. Ukuthi silokhu sidlala ngengqondo zethu, of which is, man, no, I don't know. And it's obvious all of these people, like, let me say, the one that who already came up front, testify according to because they testify according to their ability, right? And then they sworn in. Ukuthi uzokhuluma iqiniso neqiniso lonke neqiniso lonke engikwazi. But uma uthi uyahlanganisa all this nation ayihlangani.
Yeah.
They're trying, all of them. Akekho noyedwa who's consistent.
I guess
Angikhathali noma ngingathiwa.
I guess it's inyanga phone.
Inyanga.
Na inyanga iyafona.
iPhone angithokoze ngiyabonga.
Right. The content of that is basically the fact that the direction of calls, where they are going, they are pointless. What we want is the content of those calls.
The conversation.
What happened in that conversation, the SMSs, all of them, not selective SMSs. And then is also challenging in Inyanga in South Africa to say, you guys are saying that you can do these things, help this family. Mzansi, hello. It's a minute per person. Mzansi, hello.
Okay, Mr. Anonymous.
Yes.
Hello, Mr. Anonymous. Only a minute. Okay. Nina, according to my own theory, the main actor is behind the scenes. And the main actor is Uchiko allegedly. Chiko is everywhere. Chiko is cold. He comes to the scene, right? He finds Senzo. No one is attending to him. In another interview, Uchiko, he says he's cold. And with Chiko Utiena, he goes straight to the hospital. Already there are two contradicting facts. Malberton, they go there, Malberton. Chiko is part of the crew, right? And then what are they conspiring? Malberton, right? And then few years down the line, Chiko is alleged to have visited the Meyiwa family and is alleged to have offered them some cash.
Yes.
What is he hiding? And then afterwards, Ulongwe conveniently is removed from the scene according to our statements.
Yes. 1 minute. Is
Thank
done.
you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Everything is allegedly.
Yeah. This is okay. Mzansi, hello. A minute per person.
And the mother of
Hello, Mzansi Reality. Hi.
Right. The caller. Mzansi, hello. A minute a person. Minute person. Hello?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Mina khona ikhola beyafonile no. Sanibonani niyaphila no.
Siyaphila.
Okay. Khona bekafonile athi I'm sure ne judge seliqedile ngaleli cala man. The way I wanna today that boy khuluma manga ngakhona like amanga borayo man. Like even today I was pissed off no like okay so baloyi uthini nje eSouth Africa yothi imbhekile nomfana aphiza mbuza ama question aphendula ama question are useless kanje. Angeka uthi bathi imoto yabona mina ngizose ngiyababeliever the story sabo bathi bamphakamisile bamphakamisa bambeka. It's because iphola longo beyipakile ivalile lapha ulonga asabalekile. Maybe basazula yena sayosusa leyaphola. Obvious asay bamthwale bambeka because deyophuma njani le moto yasenzo lapho. Because Mthabiseng already sochazile already akunamoto lephumile lapha. Bengaphandle. So that means kwamele ulonga to keep the polo yakhe la ishiye lapha. Ngiyabonga.
Thank you. It is alleged. Everything said here based on allegations. Zans, hello.
Waiting for Longwe to pick
Hi,
up
Mr. Anonymous and Emily.
Yes. Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Thank you for picking my call, guys.
Yes.
I'm so grateful for this novel case. I know which is that I'm so grateful because the other advocates that's about that I can laugh. Before Tumelo abambizanga or and all of that. So I hope we'll get something different and that's what we take us.
Yes.
But yeah, keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Short and sweet. The caller has a point. It states, why didn't they brought application to the relevant stakeholders who deals with data to come with audios to prove their case? Like I said, name of a person is behind the scene cover up, allegedly. Whatever, even if you didn't name the person, not gonna say it's seconded with the caller. Expensive. You guys are indeed doing the sterling job. Keep up the excellent work, folks. Thank you very much. Right, that's what's up. You guys can still continue to call if you feel that there's a space. I don't know if you guys are going with me. You are probably 60 seconds behind, but this is the right time to call. Ntanzi, hello.
Hello, Mr. Animals.
Hi, sir. How are you?
I'm good. And you? Hello, Emily.
Hi.
My version is kind of short. I was watching the proceedings today, and what I've realized is that Mr. Baloyi is trying to make sure that Tumelo doesn't say much about Senzo's relationship with Kaylee. And every time, whenever there's a witness, he tries to make sure he protects the relationship of Kaylee and Senzo. And I think that's where the judge is going with this whole matter. He wants to probe holes into their relationship to make sure that was the relationship in a good state or not. Because I think we have established that there's no basis of intruders based on Tavising's testimony. So we must look at outside now, of which is how was their relationship? Because there are fights that happen in the hospital and whatnot, and even the families as well. They were having problems of their own. So I think the defense should look at in that platform or in that area in terms of probing, because that's all I can say for now.
Okay, thank you very much. So for those who missed anything, basically is saying, please ask the question regarding the relationship between Kelly and Senzo. Because that relationship probably has something to do maybe with what happened. It's alleged. Guys, all of them are a bunch of lies. Everyone who was in the house knows who killed Senzo. Cell phones providers have the records of the people who were in the house. Why don't the state request all the audio recordings? Very interesting questions. And indeed, I mean, it now, the state does this thing, where it leaves the space, that vacuum to be proven by the people, the defense, basically. So they're saying, well, we will point at you by using the direction of cause and whatnot. I don't know whether it's legit or not. We questioned that, and other people are saying, yeah, it's legit. We will point. You guys, the honors is with you to prove that actually there was a conversation that went out in which, by the way, the state should be the one that brings those records. I mean, if the interest of the states, indeed, I mean, is that the justice is done on this case, bring everything. Don't bring a skeleton, Don't bring a skeleton that says, yeah, there was a call from Mr. Anumas to Emily, and that's it.
And Mauti, I check out those calls are like 45 seconds, 30 seconds. Then I'm like, duration 30 seconds. What are we supposed to do?
Where's that going to help without
Where's
the content?
The conversation?
It's like you are poking me, but there is no proof of whatever that you want to prove. Now you expect me to defend the skeleton that you created. Now I must fill up the meat and bring the content of that thing.
I'm not happy with that. I wasn't happy with it. I still am. I feel like we were given a teaser and an appetizer.
And people ran with it, some of them.
They
ran
did.
With it, which I didn't buy it from the word go. I still don't buy it even today. I don't care how many years you have trained to do that, to point those skeletons. there is nothing, no SMSs. You only have 2, 3, 4, 5. What? How many SMSs? That's it. Bring all of them. The calls that were happening between these people who want to hear.
The only SMS we know of is I'm outside.
You know? Hell. And then the other one that says to Chico, that says in front of us.
Yes. Senzo was shot in front of us.
Yes. So those are SMSs that you could bring. Is that all you could bring?
Aye.
That we wanted to solve this case such that
that's not enough.
You just bring 2 SMSs.
Aye. We need more.
Conveniently.
We need more.
2 SMSs that are sort of sanitizing certain character or something. I don't know. For me.
And if you are saying
allegedly
conversations were deleted, what's so hard about asking for those conversations from the network? Because I'm sure the network has them.
How did they get these SMSs that are saying in front of me and what? How did they get those ones?
They could have been retrieved a long time ago. They could have been retrieved a long time ago. Even now, I still believe they can be retrieved if you just do the right thing and ask the network providers.
Since you could point the numbers, man, just go and fetch everything and say, yeah, you guys are saying the people didn't do anything. Here we go. Let us we sit down, we record, we hear what is
SMS was sent to Kelly, or Kelly sent this SMS to them, or whatever. This is the content of the SMS. The call, play the phone calls in court.
You know why now I understand why Tifo wanted a trial within trial.
Okay.
Because he wanted to finish this thing. And he knew, for some weird reason, he knew that there's going to be a monkey tricks there to kill 375. And this is what is happening. As this case is unfolding, for me, I feel 375 is trampled upon.
When they are going for Joyce Buthelezi like this, all of them, she was like a mother. She was like a mother. She was not your mother. She was a police officer doing her job. Okay, she wasn't your mom.
Yeah. So,
come on,
guys,
now.
I'm about to bow out. If you call now, you're lucky because I'm just going to listen to you and bow out. Emily,